Welcome to the Balanced Ambition podcast. I'm your host, Matt Southam. Here, we delve into candid conversations with entrepreneurs, exploring both their business journey and their secrets to maintaining mental well-being. As we navigate the balance of ambition and inner peace, I hope you find insights, inspiration, and invaluable takeaways in every episode. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Tony. Welcome to the show. I want to start by asking you, why should any of us care about renewable energy?
Okay, that's a very good question. And I'm sure you heard a lot of very cheesy answers as well, right? So climate change, yeah?
Yeah.
But the reality is that's probably the main reason why we should care about renewables energy. Because if many people were doubting before, I think if you're just looking at across the last 5-10 years, looking at the change that has happened, so in the climate pattern, not just the weather pattern, but the climate pattern, you could see that there's definitely signs that's telling us that we probably want to have a different way we live in our life, and it's either we can sort of obviously consider that all that we're seeing is just made up, it's not happening, and there's a sort of it's not controversy the word that I'm looking for, or conspiracy theory behind it. Yeah, people could say that, but it's just like, evidence is becoming, like I say, stronger and stronger, and hopefully I believe we don't need to argue that part anymore. Now, once we understood that, okay, we definitely have to do, and by the way, that's not a bad thing either, because throughout humanity we've gone through different era, different period of times where we've had to change. This is just one of them. Once we understand that, okay, we still need to live our life using energy, because there's no way on earth we can actually carry a life without energy. Everything we do use some form of energy. Now you understand, you want to, okay, I know I want to still use energy because there's no way I can live my life without it. Yeah, so everything will be just grind to a stop.
Yeah.
Now, if I do that, so what kind of energy now would be, let's say, suitable for me to carry on living the life that I would like to live? Yeah, and now if you put if you put across that, either what we're using right now, fossil fuel, or going to renewables, one clearly seems to be better than the other. It doesn't mean that we will stop the other altogether, yeah, but we probably need to adapt this to some shape or form. And we then have to move to that. Just like before we were using coal, we switched for oil and gas and so on and so forth, yeah. And before that, it was, It was even fire. So basically, we just understand that there's a new, that's the transition period that we need to switch and move towards a new form of energy in order for us to carry on living the life that we want to live right now. And at the moment, until somebody find me a cleaner energy than clean energy, I would like to argue that renewables energy is probably one of the best, maybe not the only response, but one of the best response.
Yeah. And how did you get into it? You're clearly passionate about it. And I think actually the world, lots of people are passionate about it or agree, oh, yes, we should do something, but maybe, don't actually take any responsibility themselves. So I would say, I'm like, oh, yeah, no, that's good. We should do more renewables, but I don't get involved in it. But so why have you got involved?
That's a very interesting question. And let me just take you back as to when actually everything really started. It was around 2008, 2009, right? And I used to be part of an organization called the Association for Black Engineer, or for BME Engineer. It was in the UK. And we used to have, brilliant function that we organized. And there's one of them I remember. It was talking about the electrification of Africa. Brilliant conference, wonderful speakers, even if I can't remember one single name. But there's one image, actually, that changed my life and my career that day. And it was a satellite image of the distribution of power across the globe, right? And it's quite famous, that satellite image from NASA. And I could see that, obviously, there's one place that was particularly darker than all the others, and that was the continent of Africa. And it's really struck me because I've never seen that picture before. So me seeing that right now, I was like, oh, wow, that's actually quite shocking. And bear in mind, I grew up in Cameroon, which is close to Nigeria, for people that don't necessarily know where it is. So, and when I grew up there, so I never realized how concerning it was not to have enough power. I knew it wasn't as bright as it would be in other places, but when you live into an environment, you take it for granted, right? So whether it's good or bad, you take it for granted. And now when you're having the opportunity to travel, to go to other places and just run some comparison, and then you get that image coming and say, oh, there's something here. So obviously I understood that, okay, there's clearly a problem here. And then I don't know, something in me just sort of lit up. And I was like, I think as opposed to just be, let's say, outrage, what is it going to change? So I was okay, how can I be part of it? That's really the trigger when it started. Clearly, I understood that as a continent, we needed more power. Now, which power? Clean or dirty? Yeah. So obviously, looking at where I am now, people understand what choice I made on that day. And that's literally what really progressively took me to the end. Obviously, to tell you all the story could take probably your whole day. I don't want to do that. But that's the path that I went through. So I had to move myself out of automotive engineering, even if now automotive engineering is going back to that, which is great. So out of automotive engineering, working with some other people, training myself. So I got involved in issue renewables in the UK, so offshore winds, also tidal energy, and then progressively also develop, let's say, strong interest for renewables in the continent in Africa. And 2016, around that time, so I decided to go by myself.
Right. Yeah. And so it's clearly a passion, which I think drives a lot of great businesses. And, I use the word business as in just general, what it is you do as a organization. So are there differences between different renewable sources that are available for different people? So obviously you spoke about, tides and, offshore, and obviously there's wind, there's sun. What's the best? How do you work out what's going to work for someone? Yeah. Is that a sensible question?
Okay, you mean someone as in household or business or?
Yeah, or just generally, yeah. Where do you think actually government should start looking at? Okay, this is actually a really good renewable source, because there's always that balance, isn't there, between the cost of the setup, how long it's going to last, and what's it going to give us? How's that all worked out?
I think this is a brilliant question, and it's a brilliant question. I even there is a book that I wrote. I can't remember the title, but if I do, I'll send you that. You can put that in comments whenever.
Brilliant.
But the I would say the right answer is, for me, depending on where you are in the world, obviously the response will be different. Yeah. So ideally, which is what I believe should help country be energy independent, it's for you to use the resource which is in abundance. Okay, the clean resource which is in abundance in the area where you're living. So you're not that much dependent to other people. Obviously, there's always going to be some level of dependence, because looking at the interconnected world we're into now, the global world, it would be completely silly to people to think that you can live in isolation. It will never happen anymore. I think that we just way too connected, way too dependent. But there is a level, right? So you still want to show a level of, let's say, autonomy or energy independence from yourself. So so that means if you're living, for example, in the UK, you're an island, so you have some windy places, especially up north. So in Scotland, obviously it will make sense to invest a lot into wind energy, which is what what they've done. Offshore wind is a big market over there. Yeah. So if you obviously live in a sunny place in Spain, Portugal, Italy, in Africa, clearly solar makes sense. Yeah, that's for sure. Even if Africa is such a huge place, you have pockets of a bit of everything. So the response to you is, it will depend on the resource you have in abundance, the clean resource you have in abundance where you are. That's what it was. Well, when you come down south in the UK southeast, the sun is the sun resource is rather let's say more abundant there than it will be, for example, up the Midland. That's why you see a lot of people switching for solar panels over there. And obviously, sun and wind is not the only resources. You still have hydro to some extent. You still have biomass. You have geothermal. You still have tidal wave energy that I've said. So and depending on what you have in abundance around you, I would recommend that's what you want to be looking at. Yeah. Now, is the economic match? That's another ball game, right? Because usually, what will obviously influence a lot the economics of it. It's how much widespread the industry is in order for you to achieve economy of scale and have obviously production costs that are comparable with what you have with fossil fuel.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, something as I guess a human race we need to overcome, that actually a lot of us are driven by the financial constraints that we live in. So whether that's governments, whether that's businesses, whether that's actually on a personal level, I love the idea of solar panels and things like that, but actually there's a cost, an upfront cost involved in that. So do you think governments need to look at that as well to help individuals change, or do you think this should be at a grid level? So what I mean is, should all of my energy be coming from green energy, or actually should I take a little bit of responsibility and try and generate some of that myself? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so the reality is probably a bit of both, and then to some extent as well, government has kicked up has provided some incentives. If you talk about UK specifically, government has provided incentives, that's for sure. Now, what people sometimes forget is those incentives will never last forever. That is for sure. Yeah.
No.
So that means at some point in time, you want the private sector, the industry to take over and to create. In fact, what government would do, it's help build a market. Yeah. But helping the industry just to kick off with the right incentive, giving some assurance to investors or to the early movers to set up the market there for people to come in. But as the market then grow, so the business case, the economics become better, and ultimately, obviously, you will see government will progressively remove the incentive. Whether they do that responsibly or maybe because they force to, depending on the economic situation of the country. So it so happened that, I guess, part of what happened in the UK, yes, the economy was getting better, but they removed that maybe a little bit too soon, probably because of the economics, when we had into financial crisis, not this one, the one before. I know we think that the one we got with COVID was the worst. We almost forgot the one we had before, right? So to some extent, we should expect government to provide some incentive, because, by the way, they're still providing incentives to fossil fuel even after all those years. So to have a proper level playing field, they need to be providing some incentive, yes. But there's also a level of individual responsibility, because I can tell you, for me, for example, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, to run my company, right? So if there are more people out there say that they want to go renewables and they're making the right step for that, it creates a market for me and other people just like me. Now, to provide them with the right resource that they need, and also provide that as the industry grow at a price that become interesting and affordable for them. But people as well, when they say, okay, I want to go green, I want to get renewable, they need to accept that there is a journey. So most likely they may pay a slight premium at the beginning, but hopefully as it grows, obviously it's going to come down. So there's a level of responsibility. We shouldn't just all, push it towards government. We should also take responsibility to some respect. So just like when people are adhering also to fair trade or the kind of standards, it is actually the same mindset, the same approach. And I need to understand why I'm doing that, and if I do it, and basically what we've seen so far anyway, so that we've seen that cost of panel is dropped by over 80-90% now. So it shows that yes, when there is a demand for that, clearly, obviously, what we're doing, we're helping the industry to move towards this direction. That
mass market that we need to happen. So moving away from the UK, going back to Africa, what does the next sort of 5-10 years look like for renewable energy there? Because it's almost shocking that there's areas of the world that literally just don't have consistent regular power, because here in the UK we operate. Well, everything is plugged in and generated through power. So, that I can imagine that is a shocking image. So, what does the next sort of 10 years look like for you and renewables in Africa?
Let me give you a little anecdote before that. When we talked about, you're right, in the UK, so people sometimes take it for granted. And then I think last week I experienced my first, power outage I had in the UK here. Proper power cut.
Yeah.
And I say that joking to my colleague I'm working with in different places in Africa, and also to my parents. And I say, but guess how long it lasted? He said, oh, and they were like, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. I said 60 seconds. And they laugh because literally it lasts for 60 seconds and I know it was a proper power cut because after that there was a message from UK Power Network to apologize to say, so it was, and other people in other places have experienced that. But anyway, that was just a joke. But yeah, so I can tell you in many places, it's not that short. Yeah. So we're talking about days, potentially sometime even weeks. So now coming back, so how is it going to look like for Africa? The answer again is that it depends where you go in Africa. Because yes, huge place, massive place, it doesn't move at the same speed. Definitely not. So you have country that like South Africa, or obviously even South Africa, they also have a lot of power issues. They call it load shedding down there. I was in South Africa earlier this year. Or Kenya, Ghana, or Rwanda. Obviously, in terms of electrification, they're making good and strong progress, right? So how is it looking like for them in the next 5 to 10 years? I strongly expect them to reach universal coverage. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I'm confident that they will get there. Other places, maybe like Chad, Central Africa Republic. Yeah, I don't want to be derogatory term and anything like that, but I believe they may still have some work to do. Put it that way, because we're starting from a very low base, and then and a lot of challenge to build. Yeah, and also because in this country the market is still not mature enough, or maybe too small to attract the kind of player they would need for things to fast track. So so the picture will be different. And then if you go to North Africa, North Africa is fully electrified. So that's what I'm saying. When people usually ask me what is the picture for Africa now and going forward, it's an African continent which is what it is right now, evolving at different speed. As simple as that. Just like Europe as well will be which is a much smaller continent, is evolving at different speed. Even if now obviously in terms of electrification, I guess that's a battle that has been won already, for decades ago.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to move on to you personally, because clearly you're running a business that you're passionate about, and therefore I often find with business owners it's hard to switch off, as in, because your sort of personal passion and your work and that are slightly blended together. So how do you manage that?
Well, I don't even ask myself any question about it, but you're absolutely right. So but having said that, it's important to say to people, as opposed to many people that would tell you, I've always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I grew up. It definitely was not the case for me. I became an entrepreneur by accident. I'm an accidental entrepreneur. Obviously, I'm loving it right now. But it's because obviously I got into the sector, renewables. I wanted to get a few things done, and I figured that the management I had at the time wasn't going to go the way I wanted to go, and they were more betting on the nuclear. So for me, I wanted to go more renewables. And out of frustration, I decided, okay, if I can't get a job that I want, why not creating a job that I want, right? So I did that. I said that naively, right? So thinking that I'll get it done. Obviously,
just create a job and it'll all be fine.
There were days you regret it. I'm not really taking the right decision there. But the thing is, once you're into it, as I say, you just keep going. And also where I am at the moment, yes, it's very, I'm sure you will know that, it's very, very, very challenging job, but extremely rewarding. So when you're getting things done, you discover another level of yourself you wouldn't even, guess it was there. So am I switching off? I would say not really, but at the same time as well, because I have a vision, I have a purpose. So I'm enjoying what I'm doing. When some other people ask me weekend, for me, weekend doesn't really matter. For me, weekend is just a day I have my kids at home as opposed to school. but to work. And also because we have we have uh, uh, customers client as well from different part of the world. Because in a nutshell, what we do, we helping company who want to basically step into Africa or expand their footprint into Africa,
Yeah.
obviously in renewables. So our job is to help them to become more visible. It gives them three things: more visibility, more leads, and more sales. So that's what they
Yeah.
use that visibility, but translate that into money for them so that they can expand.
Yeah.
Because we believe the way to grow the renewable energy sector is to allow to have as many green company as possible to become successful. Because the more successful they are, the more people they help, the more they employ people, and the more people want to start working with them.
Yeah.
So that's what we believe in. So create a real business case as opposed to just rely on an incentive or grant, which we believe it's not sustainable. No pun intended.
No, no. I guess actually maybe that's one of the key, I suppose, differentiators, that actually you have a passion, but you're also very clear on what you want to do. So I think sometimes in business we get caught up and almost lose our way. But actually you seem like you're really clear, and that's what actually keeps you motivated and ensures that actually you know what you're doing, you know what you want to achieve, and you're on a
Yeah.
clear path.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, not losing as well this business aspect of the job. It's very, 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 very important. Like I say, we are a I think people had some doubt at the beginning, but we are a for-profit company, and we're proud of it. Because, like I say,
Yeah.
the way for me is very simple. You know, if you're not successful, you can't make the money. You can only help yourself, right? Not a bad
Yeah.
thing, yeah. So you can help one or two people, not great things, but when I look at the challenge, the sort of challenges that the continent of Africa and the world as a whole has, those are massive challenge. And
Mm.
if you want to make a real difference, right, you need to have massive solutions. So that's what I'm saying. You want to be out there and thinking, I don't just want to have one or two people, even if it's not a bad thing, it's great achievement. But if
Yeah.
I want this problem to really change, just for us, we in us, because we ideally would like to see Africa fully electrified by 2040. So that means there needs to be significant solution out there. So how can
Yeah.
we help as many of those companies to bring their products and services and have them work with them, basically to have scalable, that's the word here, scalable solution that could be deployed relatively quickly. Yeah, that's what it is. And for that, you need to make sure that you make enough money, you know, to
Yeah.
to help people. Like I said, for me, if you're a billionaire, you have billions. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Money
If you,
does enable you to carry on. You know, everyone's got to eat, and actually, it's not a making a profit isn't a dirty word.
well,
It's
well,
the nature of what it is, and enables you to help other people. You need to have already, don't you?
yeah, I think the what we sometimes forget is whether we like it or not, some of the biggest philanthropists in this world, I do get the likes of Bill Gates, what's this guy, Bezos, and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. Bezos, he went to the moon or maybe to the space. He came back. He signed a check of $100 million to free organization that changed the world. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. So
Mhm.
why don't you want to replicate that? So that's my view anyway.
Yeah. You're clearly really passionate about it, and I love that. Tell me a little bit of a personal side of you. What is it that you like to do outside of work? What drives you in other ways? Obviously, you've said you've got children, and obviously that
Yeah.
can be a massive part of your life. But
Yeah.
what is it about you that enables you to balance actually having a real passion? You've set a big goal there, the 2040.
Yeah.
What do you do to switch off?
Well, obviously, I enjoy spending time with my boys. I have two boys, and I'm actually expecting a third boy again.
Ah,
That's a scoop. That's
congratulations.
a scoop for you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, and you can come anytime. So, if you hear some, some noise,
Oh
so
wow, literally any time. So yeah.
you should disconnect now. I'm joking. Well, um, I'm definitely clearly a family man. So obviously, I'm most passionate about my family. So my boys, I'm gonna have my wife as well, and clearly, because I must admit it's a big sacrifice that they're doing. Obviously, living with me, I understand that there's many things that I can't do like any normal dad would do. So I'm really determined to succeed also for them because, I want to give them, let's say, a life they can only dream of, and also help them as well to set their find their purpose in their life. So in that, I think, for example, my son enjoys his football, so I love going there, watching him play with his friends. So my other son is still a little bit too young, but basically being around them, so helping them, nurturing them. So I'm enjoying it, and that's why I don't take what I do for granted, because I used to be an engineer working for a big company. I'm not going to give publicity to them here, but I had a 9-to-5 job. But now with the job that I have, although I'm very busy, at least I can manage my time. So that means I can use some of this time to be with them, essentially. So and take them. So that's and I love travel. So traveling is I love it. Anytime I can go to a new place. I've been to all 5 continents already. That's for sure. And
wow.
So I definitely enjoy it, because every time you travel, you go to a new place, you discover a new culture, new people, and you learn so much, and you realize that while we are so different, we're all so much alike as well. So it's brilliant. For me, I remember traveling to Vietnam because my mom-in-law, she's half Vietnamese. Traveled to Vietnam, and I was shocked to discover that over there, some of the customs are so close to actually my custom in Cameroon. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how come on earth? I mean, we're not looking alike. We're not even close nearby. No. But some of the things that you do, it's exactly, for example, the way they bury the dead, it's exactly the same that one would do. And that was unboggling for me. It was
It always makes it. We are actually across the globe more alike than we're different. I think, unfortunately, we seem to, whether it's to do with the negative bias, we seem to pick up on differences much quicker than actually similarities. But actually, we're, as humans, but things that are important, family is important, a purpose is important, whether it's leaving a legacy or actually all these things are the same for everyone. And we're all just trying to do our thing. And yes, there's differences in culture, but actually being able to learn from those is really exciting and can help fulfill you.
I love it. Like I say, every time I go to a new place, a new country, you see my fridge, like many people would do. Obviously, I guess I always have those magnets just to remind me of the places. I just love discovering new places. I love it. I literally love it. That's what I do.
Tony, it's been fantastic talking to you today. I want to finish asking a question that I ask most people towards the end. If someone was thinking of starting a business, what would be your tip to them? What would you say they should think of first of all?
Okay, so I probably will have 3 tips for them, not just one. So number 1, you need to learn how to sell. That will take you everywhere in the world. Any jobs in the world. Selling is very important. And I say that having started as an engineer, so I believe I know a thing or two about what I'm saying. The second thing is learn how to negotiate, because you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. Very important. So if you don't get that, I'm sorry, you're going to get bad deals. The third thing, learn public speaking. That will open you the world, literally. So if you have those 3 skills, like I say, if you master those 3 skills, I'm sure you will do well in business.
Tony, that was brilliant advice. I love those. There'd certainly be 3 that I would, pin on as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I wish you all the best with your future endeavor. And you're doing some fantastic work, so you need to be commended for that. But it's been great talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. I think it was a pleasure. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Take care. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Balanced Ambition podcast. I genuinely hope the stories inspire you as much as they inspire me. If you found value in today's conversation, please share it with a friend. And remember, by subscribing, you won't miss an episode, and it would truly mean the world to me. Stay balanced, and I'll see you next time.